Hello everyone and welcome to episode 419 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is the singer from the incredible band Chubby and the Gang. Yes, I'm joined by Chubby Charles Manning Walker. Greatest name ever in music in my opinion. We have a great chat all about the album, the upcoming tour, but a little bit of confession time. This interview was done at the end of last year, and because of Zoom, there was a few interviews like you've heard recently that got lost. Somehow I found them, I've been able to edit them, and it's great that you haven't missed out and you now get to listen. But it was recorded a few months ago, so I'm sorry about that, but hey, I'm not moaning because they weren't lost forever. Before I get to today's interview, I do want to touch base and talk about my last episode. It was absolutely huge, my most downloaded episode of this year so far. It was with Eric Bass from the amazing Shinedown. Thank you so much to the band, to Eric, for all the incredible Shinedown fans for sharing this episode. I've never seen numbers like it, and I'm so glad you all enjoyed it. I'm really grateful, and if you haven't listened, go back and check it out. But today's interview is all about Chubby and the Gang. So, here's me and Charlie talking all things music. So Chubby, welcome to the Mark and Me podcast.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm really well. It's great to have you here today. And what I love to do with all guests that come on the podcast, it doesn't matter what walk of life you've been on, is take it right back to the very start.
Yeah.
So I'm really intrigued, basically, when you were growing up as a kid, maybe. What was that first album that was given to you or you bought with your pocket money that made you think, fuck me, I love music?
I had a lot of music I had a lot of music around me when I was growing up. Both my parents were into like punk music and stuff. So I knew about punk, but I got into hardcore. That was when I started like American hardcore and
Nice.
like UK hardcore and like things like Discharge and stuff like that, like Voorhees and a lot of like oi music and stuff like that, which because to me that was like the real, like what I was at the time. I was like, this is what real punk is and whatever. Yeah, and then so like trying to think like records, because there's like me, I feel like there's a couple of different like there's music, like the Ramones were a band that when I was like a child, I was like, I love this, like this is the pinnacle, which I still do, but like it's like when I started really understanding like my own shit is like sort of, you're a bit older, aren't you? You're sort of like
Definitely.
I was like 15, 16 when I started being like, oh, okay, I like this. And that was more of like, as you go into shows and stuff, I started going to like, they were doing like Ruction Records used to do this like this night at 12 bar every, like, I think it was like the first Friday of every month or the last Friday of every month, something like that. But basically, like, they would put on like loads of like bands that like but like it was just eclectic as fuck. So basically, like, there was everything from like some screamo band to like a heavy hardcore band to like a, I don't know, anything, like literally anything, which was fucking amazing because I got to like really understand that like what I liked and like what made me tick and what I didn't like and what you know what I mean, which is like important. Yeah, I think I got it more from like live experiences, to be honest with you.
You robbed me of my next question. So normally I say, what was the first live band you saw? Mine was Green Day, so I was really proud of that. But I don't know. That was the Dookie tour, so it was before they got...
I saw Blink-182 at Wembley when I was like a child.
Nice.
That was cool. I actually really loved that. But then like again, like you know, like the first hardcore show I went to, I was handed a flyer on the street, and I went into like to a Cold World show, and there was like a bunch of bands playing that, and then from there I sort of like started to. That's when I learned about the Ruction Night at 12 Bar, and I went to this thing called Ninja Fest afterwards, which was like hardcore festival in Underworld. That and then I started, seeing bands like Agnostic Front and like Madball and
amazing bands.
those kind of, that kind of stuff, which like that. I mean, like those things. Hardcore is something which like I think is like made to be live, and like when you see a band like Madball now, even now, like they're just fucking unbelievable live, and like everyone's going crazy and jumping around and stuff, and it's like how it should be processed. I think you know what I mean.
So when was it? It was kind of getting into your blood and your kind of head that you wanted to do it. Because there's one thing watching a band and being blown away, especially with the bands you've mentioned. They put on a fucking awesome show. But when was it that you were like, do you know what? I want to fucking go at this.
Immediately, that's
Really?
yeah, straight away. I straight away I was like, right, that's it. Like literally being like, that's what I want to do. And then I just was like, here we go. I just started like, I mean, I was into music. Like again, I was like into music, and I like had like a very shitty guitar type thing, and I was like trying to work stuff out and like that kind of thing. But then I like kind of made it. It kind of made it like focus in on what I wanted to, you know what I mean? I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's what I do with my guitar, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, it kind of made it more focused, I think, you know?
So was your first, were you doing like Battle of the Bands and stuff like that and doing the college bands and all that? Or were you just straight in at this?
Well, there was like in acting there was like a local sort of like local punk scene. So like there was in when I was in secondary school, they would do like it wasn't a battle of the bands because I don't like I'm not really sure what that is, but like it was more like a fucking like that everyone who's like into like alternative music they'd like rent a like a church hall and then just like have bring some amps and just like do it, and then there's like 20 people there, whatever.
Oh,
So
right, cool.
is that pretty cool? And like I don't know, I don't really like looking back on it. I was like, I don't really know like why they let us do it, but
Just fuck
but,
it.
yeah, I don't.
Turn up. Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. But I was like quite young then. I was like probably this was like pre me getting really, really into hardcore type thing. So then I got into hardcore and then started going to those shows like when I was like 16. Sure.
So
Yeah.
when was it became a reality to form a band for yourself, be the front man, have it all your way, and want to do things, without kind of, uh, I don't know, this kind of taking it actually seriously and being like, I want to do something that's actually going to get us somewhere.
I feel like so like I wanted to do bands straight away,
Yep.
and then but Chubby and the Gang as a project was like I was getting tired of like I felt like I was doing a lot of writing for bands that I was in, and then a lot of people would kind of like be like, "This is my band," and I'd sort of be like, "This is our band," and they'd be like, "No, this is my band," type shit. So I was getting a bit frustrated by people sort of like people it's amazing. People develop egos quite quickly, and
Yeah.
they end up like kind of like shitting where they eat a little bit, and they sort of like don't know how to conduct themselves a little bit. So like I ended up just being like, fuck this, I'm gonna sort of do my own thing. And then that's what Chubby and the Gang happened. And there was like absolutely zero intention of getting anywhere with it. And to be honest with you, I almost binned it off because I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this. To be honest, first record, I almost didn't put it out because I was like, does the world need this? And then and then it got released and people loved it, so that was that. But like, I've never really had it. Yeah, I've never really understood like that whole concept of like making it in music, because to me, like making it in music is like you're approaching it from like an entirely alien angle to me. I always kind of grew up just being like music should be something that should just be made, and then if people like it, they like it. If they don't, well, fuck them. But they're welcome to their opinion. But fuck it, respectfully. You know what I mean?
What
Uh,
about the fact that you said that you were scared to put something out? Like you were like, I'm not sure if people are going to fucking like this. Like I'm not sure, but then people fucking did. So it must have been like, like that must have reassured you that you're doing something right.
it was a confidence thing, I think, more than anything. Like I was
Yeah.
just secure about it because I was like, I'd never really, I'd never really like done like. I mean, like, there's one thing like writing a fucking 45-second punk song, and there's another thing like trying to fucking fit an organ in it. You know what I mean? Or, you know, I'm getting that. So it's like,
Yeah.
I was just like, I was kind of like listening back, being like, what am I doing here? And like, I wasn't confident as a vocalist as well. I felt like I wrote the music. I felt first record music was like, I just like wrote by myself completely. Went to the studio, recorded like guitars and stuff. Recorded we were like, it's very much like a me thing. And then I had to then put vocals on it. So I was like, fuck. You know what I mean? I was like, got to the microphone. I was like, well, what the fuck do I do now? So the music was like, that was kind of not easy, but like, I was like, I used to making guitar, just like writing songs like that. And then I had to fucking do vocals. So I was like, well, fuck. But now I feel a bit more confident about it, and I feel a bit more like, but sort of, I want to say believe in myself vocally, because that sounds really wanky, but like, you know what I mean? Like a sort of like, I'm like, all right, I get this, I can do this type thing.
It's funny because the more bands I interview, people like Enter Shikari, Frank Carter,
yeah,
the front men are always more quiet than you realise. They've gone on stage, put on a show, blow your mind. You feel like they could do anything. They've got more confidence and they just take it in their stride. But when you actually break it down, they're some of the most quiet individuals that are very,
yeah,
very nervous. And it blows my mind that you're kind of in the same, and I've said this with full respect, you're in the same kind of category. You know, you're not this, yeah, I fucking love music. I was born to do it. Give me any crowd and I'll turn them all round and make the whole place erupt. You're kind of
that shit.
like,
When I hear people say shit, I just think, shut them. Like, because it's just like, who are you fucking kidding? Like I think a lot of people they're like introspective and stuff like that. They don't. Me personally, like I'm not very good at like expressing myself. Basically, like um, like music is an outlet, and I think that's kind of like where the frontman thing that you're talking about is. It's
yeah,
like this is the outlet of like how you express yourself. If you didn't need it, you'd just be like, yeah, and just be like that to you normally, but you struggle to, so you end up making it in a song instead. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, that's fair.
I think that's more likely. When people say and give it the big one about like, oh, I'll do it, I'll turn any all this shit, it's like whatever, man. You know what I mean?
So you're happy to admit you get nervous, you go on
Yeah,
stage and you think, fuck, this is scary.
yeah, of course. Like, well, not actually the live, the live thing. I'm better at. The thing that scares me is the recording,
Yeah,
because like a gig is 20 to 40 minutes, right? If it's shit, and I've played some shit ones, like I promise you that 20 minutes and 40 minutes is over. Move on.
yeah,
You can learn from it. Right. Next time I'll try not to attempt a backflip, because that word tits up. So that will move on or whatever. That kind of shit. But if you put it on a record, that it's there, and it's there. And like, you can look back on it and listen to it as many times as you want and regret it, but it's fucking there. Do you know what I'm saying? So like that's what makes me more nervous. That's the bit about Chubby and the Gang which got me nervous at the start, was like recording something like lyrically. I've never done lyrics before, so it's just like, well, fuck, like, what the fuck do I talk about? And then I was like, people don't want to hear me talk about this shit or whatever. I was thinking, so
of course.
or like, I don't want to even talk about this shit sometimes. So it's like, then I was like, well, and you sort of spin out like that kind of thing, rather than the live thing. I've always felt a bit more like, you know, I box quite a lot, and like to me, I kind of just treat it like that. Like, you're like, well, fuck it, these lot may not like me, but fuck it, here we are, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Because like I said, that 20 minutes that fucking flies by.
And it
You
can
know,
be forgotten about quite easily. Like you said, on a recording, it's there forever. You're going to over criticize yourself. You're always going to be listening to it, thinking, how did I do this? And I should have done that. And
yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, like a lot of the times I'll record something, I'll listen to it a lot leading up to it, or like the demos and like mixes and shit like that. And once it's out, I'll kind of never listen to it again, because it's like sometimes I don't want to get into that like lament of like, oh well, ooh, oh shit, what was I thinking there? Or like the grammar in that doesn't make any sense, or like why the fuck did I phrase it like that or something? You know what I mean? Like
Of
it's
course.
I was more just like, right, this is out there. Here we go. Just take that, be done with it, go away, like that shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, whatever.
How's it feel about having new music you sat on, ready for the world to listen to? Because when I record an interview, I want to get it out there straight away. Some
Yeah,
managers or companies turn around and say, you can't release it for 3 months. And I'm like, fucking hell. Like,
yeah.
I can't imagine what it'd be like for a musician or a songwriter having actual songs ready to go.
Well, the I had these tunes demoed out a long time, like um, a year before the release. It's been released, so it was. I think I've been sitting on these demos summer last year. I demoed them out, and
Wow.
I did it at Fuzzbrain, and then like we had some troubles with labels and this and that and the other, and then so then I was like unable to like actually properly record them, like funding went it and shit like that, all this kind of stuff. So I was like, well, fuck it. So then, well, I just like pushed on and pushed and like really kind of ground, like had a real grind with it, like, and then eventually got in the studio and did it. And now, like, now that it's finally coming up, I'm sort of like a little bit in disbelief. It's taken so fucking, it's really taken a long time,
Have
basically.
Have you already put pen to paper for the follow up from the thing that isn't even out yet?
What with Chubby now?
Yeah.
The thing what I do, I like to do is I like to overwrite. So like
Yeah.
I like to be like I mean, I wish I could show you my fucking phone with like the amount of fucking voice note demos I have on it because it's like fucking about 250, isn't it? But like I'll basically like in my opinion on that is like wider the net, bigger the catch. You know what I mean? You make as many tunes as possible, and then you're just like, right, I've got 30 songs here. Which one was of these are good? Because I promise you, no one, no one, even the fucking best people like songwriters will come out with a fucking hit every time. So you have to just like think it's better, and also like showing other people it and being like, am I being like, am I being big headed on this, thinking this is good? Because or big self grand, what's it called? It self grandiose, grand. Is that the right
I know
word?
what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying like, um, that's what Jonah's really good at, who records it, and Atco as well, who I record with. They are very good at being like, you're doing something, this is mental, mate, or whatever, or like this is this is really good, or whatever, or this is shite kind of thing. So it's good to have like a little second opinion on it, and like yeah, yeah.
What's it kind of feel like at the moment, getting ready to go on tour, going on those stages and kind of hoping that people really get your songs, get what you're doing, hopefully buy a vinyl, a t-shirt, leave that night to attend their friends to go and check you out.
Um, yeah. See, like for me, like the whole thing is more like of a showcase, and like because I'm not I really like, and I mean this in like the most respectful way possible. If people don't like my band, it's like I feel I'm quite fine with that. But like, so I'm not trying to like I'm not trying to like get this like you should please like this type thing. I want to just be more like, oh, this is the band, like here we are type shit. You know what I mean?
That's
And then
fair.
like yeah, and like because
It's healthy as well.
yeah, because that's what I mean. It's like I think it's quite unhealthy. Like a lot of artists will be like, why don't people like this my band? It's like I mean, like if I was in an art gallery, someone's like, "Why don't you like this painting?" And I'd be like, "Fuck, I don't know. I just don't like. Just don't."
Yeah, it's just not for me.
Yeah, right, fine, and that's absolutely all right. You know what I mean? How it feels like preparing for a tour and stuff. To be honest, like I tend not to think about this kind of stuff. I'm like, I'm working. I'm an electrician, so I'm like
Yeah.
busy doing stuff all the time, and then yeah, like I'm like I was at work at like 6 a.m. today, so it's like I'm just doing that, and then like I'm like, oh, holiday time, let's go on tour.
It's funny, isn't it? Because people don't realize some of my favorite bands that have been out there, people like Black Peaks and all these bands, Ruben, all the legends in my kind of world, they all worked, and people just expect that because you've got a music video out on YouTube or you've got a single on Spotify that that's all you do. But it's like, no, there's a real world out there. Like, it doesn't pay. You've got to fucking eat, keep a roof over your head, and then if I get any time, I can do what I love.
I'd love to. Fuck me, I'd love to live off music. That'd be fucking quality, but
Yeah.
just not realistic. I haven't got any, I haven't got anything to like fall back on or anything like that. So it's like I have to work, and there's no option. Like I think it's reflective of like streaming revenues and things like that. Where it's like really, if you're a musician, like unless you're on tour, like you basically at a certain point have a fork in the road, and you either are a band that's on tour the entire tier of the year,
Yeah.
you have a day job. So and like you asking someone to like fucking to be like, hey, listen, mate, do you fancy quitting your job to potentially, maybe, possibly 1 out of 10 chance that you come back with a bit of money? And it's like, probably not, mate. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
I'm all right.
I just
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, I'm all right, bro. So, I worked really hard for a long time to become an electrician. So, I'm not gonna like just give that up or anything. But yeah, I'd love to know how people fucking make a living off music because I fucking have no idea.
Even the big acts I speak to that you think are going to be absolutely fucking minted, they're still struggling and just breaking even on some tours because of the costs and everything. And it's like, it's not the dream that I had when I was,
No,
10, picking up a guitar, trying to be like Kurt Cobain in the mirror, thinking, oh, I could be a millionaire, make, records like Nirvana. It doesn't happen.
I mean, I think it's a bit of a it's shit. I mean, musicians need to get paid properly. First and foremost, I think one of the things that lets a lot of musicians down is like we haven't got proper trade union,
No,
and I think like we do, but like a lot of people, we do have one, but people are not willing to like join it and be like listening and being like, okay, like I feel like musicians are very willing to like undercut each other and be like do this like starving artist shit, which is like, oh, you have to really starve to like get somewhere, and it's like, why?
yeah,
Like, why the fuck does anyone like that shouldn't be applied to anyone? Like, because at the end of the day, you're putting in time on something, and like if there is money coming in, it should fucking be seen by the people who do the labor, because otherwise, sorry to break it to you, but that's exploitation. You know what I mean? Like fucking hell, like if you're
I
doing
I I can never get
you're
my
not
head
getting paid,
around, some bands will play a festival and not get paid, and they use their
the
petrol and they
pay
use
to play
time,
thing. That whole pay to play thing where people like will pay money to be on things.
a certain stage. Like, what other job in the world where you're like, would you ever go out to someone's house and be like, oh God, all your cabling needs doing? Do you know what? Can I give you 50 quid to do this work for you?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's like just fuck off, man. Like, yeah, totally. Like, I agree with you, man. It's like, what? Whoever started that,
I'm
let
hoping it's a dying
that's no
culture,
big.
you know?
I think so. I think people are sort of waking up a little bit to the fact that, like, that's not fair, and it's
No.
also, I don't know. Whatever. I could talk about this shit forever. To be honest.
It's not meant to be negative, and I
No, I
celebrate
know. I don't want to
music,
like.
but it's
I
real. But I like that it's real, and there are people listening today that don't realize or take it for granted, that don't realize that it can be a bit fucking shitty in the business, and it's not
I'll,
always what it looks like.
I'll say this to anyone who's like listening, who's like wants to take advice off me. If I would say, if you want to do music because you love doing music and not because you want to get paid off it. And if you want to
Yeah.
get paid, I'd recommend you probably think about going into finance or something, because it's not because not, and this is not me complaining. This is
No,
me just telling, because
from experience, yeah.
yeah, like I'll be honest with you, man. Like if I never got paid off music, it's not that it wouldn't bother me, but I would still do it because I like doing it, and I would always do it. And I've done bands since I was like 15, and I turned 34 in August, so that's a long time, and I've never really seen anything off it, and that's fine because I just like doing it. It's long story
So,
short.
so as
Right?
we're not too far off the release of And Then There Was, which is a great title. I can never remember it, but I like it. Um, what do people kind of what do you kind of tell people to expect from this album? Are you trying to do something a bit different? Are you keeping the formula quite similar because it's worked so far, or are you just trying to challenge yourself and evolve and just try playing with new toys?
I definitely, well, the more confident I get, the more confidence I have to sort of do stuff that like I was gonna say that do stuff that I shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like be like, fuck it. I'm gonna throw a fucking like one of the songs we have like a wine glass that's we filled up with water to make a certain note. And we
I
were
love
like,
that sound. Yeah.
yeah, we made it through the whole song type thing. And I was like, why shouldn't I fucking do that on a punk record? There we
It's your
go.
album, man. You can do what you
Yeah,
want.
but that's what I mean with a bit of confidence. Just start being more like, fuck it, yeah, let's do this or whatever. Or we sat in the studio like having a glass of whiskey or some shit, and we're just like, yeah, fuck it. Should we do something like, or we get Mellotron on this or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah.
But like that like kind of confidence allows you to like just be like, fuck it, you know. I think it's important to have that with music. I kind of like, why not, you know?
I'm talking to you, and I've only just met you today, but I speak to a lot of people. And I can kind of gauge what kind of persona they've got or kind of attitude. And I think yours is very real and honest, and you're not playing a fucking game of coming on here and like, right, I need to put on this showmanship and pretend I'm something I'm not. And then as soon as the call's ended, I'll get changed and not be a singer anymore in a band. But I feel like you're very real and honest. And when I speak to some bands, I ask them what their expectations are or what their goals are. And that's not like a work fucking one-to-one meeting. Like, how's your goals going? But do you ever aim or strive to one day be on the main stage at 2000 Trees, or
Yeah, no.
certain things where you're like, I would love to go after that,
Uh, I'd love to do I've been on tour in Japan before with another band, but I'd love to do a Chubby and the Gang tour in Japan because I just like the place. I really enjoyed it
Yeah.
there. And I'd like to sort of like travel as much as I can with it. In terms of like festival stuff, I was never really a festival goer, so like that was never really like I was never really like dreaming of like. I mean, I'd love to play Glastonbury, but it's not never like on my. I never was like, oh, I wish I could do this. It's very much a record focus with Chubby. It's more like
Yeah.
I wish I could do this. I want to do this on the record. I want to do this like rather than the live stuff. Sort of always comes second, and I don't mean that in the sense of like important. It's just like. Oh, like to be, I'll be honest with you. I'll play. I'd love to do as much as I can
Yeah.
with it. And like to me, it's like about having new experiences and like meeting new people and eating new food and like trying new shit out and fucking because at the end of the day, like I've got to go back to the fucking building site on Monday and like so I'm grateful to be able
Reality
to.
kicks in.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm grateful to fucking be able to like. Play at 1 p.m. on the fucking opening smallest stage at 2000 Trees, let alone the fucking main one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fine for me. Like, I'm happy to fucking get out and do it. If it pays off, it pays off, and if it don't, then fuck it. Try.
Kind of, it feels like because you haven't got those expectations, you're never going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Like, I think to be expecting someone to be like. You're the next like, or like
Yeah.
it's quite vain of people sometimes.
Yeah.
My musicians, I'm like, you're expecting quite a lot from people, and I don't think it's a fucking lottery at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It really is. Like you in my personal opinion, like music is as much about like. The music as it is about timing and context and shit like that. Where like, I think if Speed Kills was released today, or it was released fucking 3 years before it got released, I reckon it probably would have gone under the radar. It was just right place, right time. That's in my opinion. Like you can have there's so many records out there that are fucking unbelievable, and they just came out the wrong year or the wrong, or in the wrong scene or like in the wrong, and it just didn't really work out. And then often like years later, you get it where that same band, like people are like, wow, I can't believe this went under the radar. And it's like, well, just wrong place, wrong time type shit. Doesn't mean
It's so true. Some of my favorite albums have never like. I'm not saying they're not successful because they were, but bands like Hell Is for Heroes absolutely fucking adored them. Biffy Clyro back in the day. I'm talking before they got to the headline. You
I
know,
mean, Oasis, like would not like now they are like this cultural phenomenon.
yeah,
But at the time, it was like more of like I feel like there was like it wasn't quite as like I don't want to say cool to like them because that's silly thing to say, but like now it's like Oasis are the band, like
yeah.
the band. There's no band bigger than Oasis, but I feel like back in the day it was like more of like a bit, what I'm trying to
No,
get
it's
at?
true. Yeah, like more of my friends listen to Blur than Oasis, but now Blur couldn't
Yeah.
even.
I always felt like Blur were like a bigger band at the
Yeah,
time. You know what I mean? But like now, I would say Oasis are so because
I don't think
maybe.
there's a. I don't. No, I don't mean this only. I don't want to be shouted at now by my listeners, but I
Yeah, I
don't
know.
think. I
I approached that with like trepidation.
Yeah, I really
Oh, like,
don't. I really don't want to be quoted wrongly, but I don't think Blur are half the band Oasis are now, and that's not in the way of writing music or performing. They're incredible, but you're not. Blur wouldn't sell out Wembley every night for 8 days and have 10 million people trying to get tickets.
yeah, I wouldn't cry to a Blur song, but I would cry to an Oasis song for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a bunch of those songs that are just like you could be in a room full of people and just be like, "Holy shit, this is kind of euphoric." You know what I mean?
No, it is, and I know it's like a hype at the moment and a real buzz because everyone suddenly, even if you've not seen Oasis or you're too young to have originally bought their albums, there's this kind of fad that everyone wants to see them because it's like, oh, Oasis are back, and it's the Noel and Liam, and I'm like, I don't want to get too caught up in it because I saw them at Main Mode, I saw them back in the day at Wembley, I've seen them in '94, so I'm like, I've seen them at their peak, but it's hard not to get sucked up into it. And I had definitely maybe on in the car the other day, and I was like, oh fuck, like
It's
every song's an anthem.
it's quality.
It's so good, and I'm like,
Good man.
oh. And I was listening to the master plan, and I was like, these B sides are better than any other band's A sides. Like
Yeah.
you can't not get swept up in it. And now I'm like, oh, I want to go and see them. And I was like, why am I being the person I said I wasn't gonna be?
I think you just got to relax into it and just be like, they're the best band.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like, shit, this is what it is. Damn. I guess maybe
yeah.
you honestly love them. That's it. Like, you know what I mean? I love them. Everyone, you ever met anyone that's like, or what? You ever met anyone that said Oasis are shit?
I think there's one or two that do it just to try and be that person to give you some bait and just
And they're not,
try and get a
they're not fooling
response.
anyone, mate. You know what I mean?
No, and at the end of the night they're drunk listening and singing along to Don't Look Back in Anger, and I'm like, yeah, you're not as cool as you're trying to be.
Yeah. Nice try, mate, but we got you.
But it's true what you're saying. There's a lot of albums like back in the day refused, Shape of Punk to Come. That didn't be the huge thing. It's only since that people are like, oh, Refused are amazing. It's like, well, you should have told them that 10 years ago when you could have seen
I
them.
know. I'd hazard a guess as to like, maybe I'm going out on a limb here, but like, I'd say like, 50-50 in terms of like classic records were they appreciated at the time.
Yeah.
Probably even like more in the favor of not. You know what I mean?
No, it's true.
I mean,
And
if you go back to like fucking like all those like blues artists and shit, like people like were just like, what's this? And then
yeah.
later on, people are like, oh, this is where Led Zeppelin comes from. You know what I mean?
Radiohead, look at Radiohead when they came out. No one gives a fuck about them, and now you listen back, and the people are like, "Oh my god, it was just way before its time."
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Before its time is like the polite way of being like,
But
we made.
then you look at it in the same breath as like Jeff Buckley or someone like Pearl Jam. Those albums stand the test of time, and you listen to them 20 years later, and they sound like they were recorded yesterday. And I'm like, okay, it might have not blew up at the time, but wow, to have that longevity in an album that people still give a fuck about 20, 30 years later, and it still sounds timeless. That's a skill.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to that Jeff Buckley album the other day, actually, like 2 days ago, and I was like, it's like if you'd written it down, I would have been like, not for me. But then I listened to it, and I was like, wow, pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Last Goodbye, Grace,
Yeah.
and Love You Should Have Come Over, some of the best songs ever. I'm like, I wish I got to see him live and see where he would have gone if he hadn't died. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
I don't know. I actually don't know that much about him. I just sort of like fell upon it and then was like,
Yeah,
oh shit, this is because it's not my world at all. But I think that's again a good sign of a good record is like, like if you can get people who are just like if you're a metal band that gets non-metal heads and they're like, oh, this is good, then I think that's the sign of a good record as well, you know what I mean?
Well, look at Sleep Token. They appeal to fucking everyone. Like,
Oh,
and
thanks.
there's bands that have sounded like Sleep Token for years, but for some reason there's something about them, and the TikTok era and the response they've had online, and now all the kids that would used to take the piss out of you if you're wearing a band hoodie are now there with their Sleep Token hoodies and jumpers and fucking can't get
I will
tickets.
say that I will say that like subculture is like it feels like subculture in general is like kind of merging into one sort of like monolithic
Yeah,
like a lot of those like modern a lot of the modern rappers and stuff, like a lot of the times like you can't you can't tell it from like a lot of emo and shit. It's like very quite strange, like you know what I mean, but like I'm quite into it. Yeah.
yeah. I feel like I had Kid Bookie on the other day, and he was talking about how he can play gigs now, and he could be on the same lineup as someone like Korn, and it would work.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Korn is that new metal stuff is probably the reason why it blurred into one.
Yeah. And what a resurgence
Not
that's
really
had. Like Limp Bizkit and Korn are now bigger than they were back in the day.
crazy. That was crazy. I'm
So
not.
maybe in 20 years you'll be too big to get back on the podcast, and people will be like, "Fucking hell, that guy was 20 years too early."
I'm not holding my breath, mate.
What I do on this podcast is my final question for you today is, and it's going to be a tough one, but I put every guest on the spot because as this is all edited and ready for the world to listen to, you get to choose the song that's played. So it can be any song by any band, but it's a song that means a lot to you.
uh,
And I know there's probably a million songs inside your head right now, but I want just one. But more importantly, why did that one float to the top?
um,
I am cruel, I know.
I mean, I've been listening to a lot of this band called Red Alert, Screaming at a Nation. I
I've
think
never heard him.
yeah, it's fantastic. A Newcastle punk band. Sorry, I said that in the Geordie accent. Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle Geordie band.
Yeah, Geordie band. Oh, Sunderland. Sorry. Okay,
Oh,
edit that bit out.
yeah.
But yeah, fantastic band. Screaming at a Nation. Great song.
And is that just because they're new, they're fresh, and probably need more people listening?
The guy passed away recently, so I
Oh,
would
fuck.
pay homage to him. Oh.
Oh, shit.
They're from the 80s.
Oh,
So
okay. The way you're talking, I thought they're new. I was like, oh, I'll go and check them out and hopefully see them live. But
I'm fucking like, man, I'm like, I, I, I'm really like a stuck in the past kind of guy, you know what I mean?
we all are. We just,
Yeah.
I just find 10 albums I love and they just on repeat all the time. And I'm like, someone's like, oh, if you like therapy, or you should listen to this. I'm like, no, I'll stick with this I've listened for 20 years. I can't change it.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck it. It's
I'm an
weird.
ignorant, but fuck it. I enjoy what I like. It's been a pleasure speaking to you today, dude. And I hope that our paths cross again soon. And I will promote this like hell and get people to then check out the album and push them your way for the UK tour. And I'll try and come to one of the shows.
Please do, yeah, yeah. We good to see you. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that.
So there's my interview with me and Charlie from Chubby and the Gang. Great honesty, great meaningful interview, and I just loved it. I love how open and honest he is. There's no bullshit. He is actually saying how the industry is. It's not easy. You still have to go out there and do a proper job. And man, it's inspiring to listen to. It's also really humble and just... I really did enjoy this interview, and I hope you guys at home did as well, because they're a great band. Go and check them out. Go and follow them. Go and listen on Spotify. Buy yourself an album. These artists need your support. So please, do whatever you can to go out there and show him some love. Now, before I go, I want to say a massive thanks to everyone out there for supporting Mark and me. But obviously, the sponsors of the podcast always need a good shout out. Firstly, the amazing guys at Vice Press. So if you're in the market for an incredible poster, collectible item, VHS, anything to do with film, these are the best guys out there. They're all licensed, they're all incredible products. Go on vicepress.com, add stuff to your basket, go crazy, and when it comes to paying, enter the code MarkandMe10, that's the number 10, and you get 10% off. That's how great they are. Also, Richer Sounds, the greatest guys out there for TV, video, anything to do with audio, headphones, you know the stuff by now. Go and visit any of their high street stores or go on their website richersounds.com and treat yourself to something nice. And thanks so much for supporting Mark and me each and every week. Also, if you love Mark and me and you want these episodes to get heard and carry on, what I ask is you to keep sharing it. It doesn't take you long at all. I've seen so many new people on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram signing up and following Mark and me, and I appreciate it, but it's because of word of mouth. So if you've enjoyed today's interview, hit that share button. I see that each and every single person that does it, and it really warms my heart, and I'm very grateful. And if you want to go that extra mile, I do have a Patreon account. It's basically a way of saying thanks for the podcasts. Go on markandme.com, there's a link there, and you can sign up for as little as £1 a month. Now, I'll be back in only a couple of days' time with a huge episode. The Big 420, I can't wait. It's a returning guest, and honestly, it's absolutely awesome. So until then, look after yourself, go and listen to Chubby and the Gang, and I'll see you all very soon.
Not fuck with again, it's over.